Assalamu alaikum. Some politicians and media personnel who disseminate misleading information about Islam form an unholy coalition of ultra-Zionists and racist extremists, some of whom are also anti-Jewish. Their accusations often portray Islam as a violent faith and non-white people as backward barbarians. Ironically, it has predominantly been Israel and its military backers, such as the USA, Britain, Germany, Italy, and France, that have contributed most to global bloodshed and instability for well over a century. However, setting that aside, today I will compare the rules of war adopted by Israel with the teachings of Islam. Regarding the targeting of women and children, extremist Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu articulated Israel's official stance on the 28th of October 2023 as follows.
זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק נצטווינו. אנו זוכרים ואנו נלחמים.
אין חצי עבודה. רפיח, דיר אל-בלח, נוצרת, השמדה מוחלטת, תמחה את זכר עמלק מתחת השמיים. אין מקום מתחת לשמיים.
ובסימן חג הפסח לומר שאנחנו צריכים להכות באויב 10 מכות, למחות את זכר עמלק, כמו שכתוב.
אשתי היקרה שרה, מוכנה יהיה פיצוץ גדול. למחות את זכר עמלק!
gaza אני בא למחות, ולחיזבאללה נותן בראש, ומצווח הדבר, למחות את זרע עמלק.
This disturbing invocation of Amalek by Netanyahu frames the conflict in Gaza within a historical and religious context that justifies what is termed in the modern era as genocide. In the Book of Samuel 15:3, it is written, "Now go, attack the Amalekites, and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys." End quote. This is why so many women and children have been killed by the Israeli regime in Gaza. Even the US Secretary of State, Lloyd Austin, admitted earlier this year that most of the Palestinians killed by Israel in Gaza were women and children, using US weapons.
Mr. Secretary, about how many Palestinian women and children have been killed by Israel since October 7th?
It's over 25,000.
Mr. Secretary, last week, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights warned that any transfer of weapon or ammunition to Israel violates international law. About how many precision-guided munitions has the United States given Israel since the beginning of the war?
I don't have that number at my fingertips, but we have endeavored
Mr. Secretary, it's about 21,000 precision-guided munitions to Israel since the start of the war. Will you commit today that you will halt any future military sales to Israel?
Obviously, sir, that's a presidential decision. I expect that when we provide munitions to allies and partners, that they'll use them in a responsible way.
This directive from Scripture, also cited by Israeli religious and political figures, as well as its military, explains the rationale behind the indiscriminate bombings and operations that have led to the destruction of entire neighborhoods and the decimation of complete Palestinian lineages in Gaza, which is now extending to Lebanon. In contrast, consider Islam's rules of war. As narrated by Ibn Umar in the Hadith collection Sahih Muslim, the discovery of a single woman killed in battle led the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to publicly forbid the killing of women and children. Similarly, in the Muwatta of Imam Malik, the first caliph, Abu Bakr, advised his army with a revolutionary message on the rules of war. I advise you 10 things. Do not kill women, children, or any elderly infirm person. Do not cut down fruit-bearing trees. Do not destroy an inhabited place. Do not slaughter sheep or camels except for food. Do not burn bees and do not scatter them. Do not steal from the booty, and do not be cowardly. End quote. Thus, on one hand, we have Israel's barbaric prescription to target men, women, children, infants, and livestock. On the other, Islam's command to protect them. How then can some politicians and media outlets reconcile the portrayal of Israel's actions as democratic, modern, and self-defense? Is it not time we confront the reality and unequivocally condemn these practices for what they fundamentally are, nothing less than genocide? This is why the International Court of Justice is describing Israel's invasion of Gaza as a plausible genocide and has opened an investigation into its conduct.